It's Andy Campbell! It's in! Campbell comes off the bench to be a hero! A superhero! Breakthrough! It's taken a while, but it's been worth the wait for Cardiff City!
Hey guys, welcome to episode number 24 of the Andy Campbell Championship Show, only on ACEcast Nation. Not on TalkSport, not on Sky Sports, not on BBC, not on Love Sport, not on anywhere else except ACEcast Nation, just the way we like it. I discovered the other day that if we wanted to, we could even do a phone-in when we go live, which was quite entertaining thing to find out. But there we go. I'm your host, Si, and I'll be joined by ex-Premier League and Championship striker, Cardiff City legend, Mr. Andy Campbell, who we will meet in a second, but you will see there. As usual, we will start with any other business, and then we'll have our three main featured games. The weekend's rounds of matches we'll focus on in detail, as well as talking all the other games. We'll give our 2 for 2, where we select 2 players or teams or incidents, which have a bit of a nightmare or a blinder. Andy will answer your questions. I will answer a question which was sent in for me today, which is a bit odd, but there we go. We will answer them. No holds barred as usual. And then we finish off with the greatest segment in podcast history. The 10-second segment that everyone around the world is talking about. It is the Fake Geordie Bingo Lingo, where Andy teaches me something about his northern culture. So many great shows and guests recently and recorded or released. I do feel blessed that I've had so many different guests from all walks of life. And I recently did an interview which dropped Monday with author and investigative journalist Harry Harris, who've written the controversial book in some quarters, or certainly the title is controversial, which is The Killing of Emiliano Sala. It was a really interesting interview, and it was a really, really interesting book. Sometimes we think the title probably doesn't help it because it's not what you think it's going to be. But myself and Andy are going to record a show straight after this show, talking about the book in detail because we both read it for research purposes. But check out the interview I did with Harry because it was really interesting, and a lot of stuff came up. And he isn't like a fly-by-night guy just trying to make a quick buck from a tragedy. He is highly thought of and highly, he's at the top of his field in journalism. He's appeared on Sky Sports and BBC and all these different places. He's also written the autobiographies of Glenn Hoddle and a load of other footballers. He's written a book about Pele, which, Pele was involved in as well. He wrote George Best's last book as well, just before as George Best passed away. He's not, he's not just a shady guy trying to take advantage of a terrible situation. He's actually, a top journalist. And I advise everyone, before you have a hasty opinion on it because of the title, read it. Or if you don't want to read it for whatever reason, watch the interview or listen to the interview, which I've released just on Monday, and just make your own mind up because I do think it's not what people think. But yeah, me and Andy will be dropping a show next week on that. Joining me to talk about the latest championship games, the biggest stories in the world of football, we have the goal collector extraordinaire, the pie-slapping, ketchup-licking, fox in a box, Cardiff City's Millennium Stadium assassin, Mr. Andy Campbell. Welcome, my friend.
Good evening, my mate. How are we?
All right, mate. It's been a very, very interesting few days for me.
Yeah,
because,
can imagine.
Did that interview, and it was a big thing for me because, I did the interview on the Friday. He gave me like 2 hours of his time, which I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And in the week prior, And since then, he's been on radio stations from all around Europe, national radio stations, giving like 10, 15-minute interviews about the book and this and that. He's got to promote the book. I understand that.
Yeah.
But I mean, he gave me 2 hours of his time. I got loads of people I put up on Twitter, like all the people who are, not happy about the book or this, that, and the other. Send your questions, and I'll put them to him. And he didn't shy away from any questions. He answered everything. He answered the questions that you sent me, and you can't fault him for that. But yeah, we'll talk about that in more detail in the show about that. But it'll be interesting. And I urge people to read it before they make judgment, because it's not what you think. Guys, you can catch all our video shows, youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation, including the one that I was just talking about, and all our other ones, including the Unscripted Uncensored show, where we've had various UFC fighters. We've got conspiracy theory shows, football shows, music shows. Got a real exciting music show with a band coming up. So if you follow us on Twitter, you'll already know who it is. But they are very, very good. And I'm very excited to get them on. I'm trying to, or should I say, one of our regular listeners, Johnny Wish, sent a message to the band, which is the Crooks, and said when they do the show, they should do an acoustic version of their song, which I'm not sure on the rules on that on YouTube and podcasting for like copyright and stuff, but it's their song, so they should be able to play it if they want. But we'll see. But that would be real cool. But anyway, mate, how are we?
I'm good, mate. Yes, I like to say I was very intrigued with what you were doing last week. Quite jealous, really. But obviously, I got to speed read the book because obviously I wanted it to be up to speed for today. So it was a. I know we're going to talk about it later on, but just to give obviously viewers here who watched it, it was one of the I haven't read a lot of books over the last few years. It was just an amazing read, and I was similar to everybody else. The title put me off. To be honest, I'll be honest. The title put me off, but the title was explained straight away, and obviously we'll go on about that later on. But you know what I mean? It's definitely worth a read because I think it also celebrates something which I think is very important, and that's of a young man who terribly lost his life, and obviously of a pilot who's also lost his life as well. So you know what I mean? It's the important part of not just about the title of somebody who's lost a life or two people who lost a life, but celebrates a fantastic football career and a CV of, you know, I mean, we go on about players in the Championship, but he was top draw and touted with some of the best names in world football at the time when he signed for Cardiff City. So, you know what I mean? It would have been really interesting if things had turned out the way that everybody wanted them to, because he looked like he had a fledgling career ahead of him. Yeah,
it's a real shame, and it's one of those things where you just can't help but think, you know, what could have been. And the last thing I'll just say on the book is that the other thing is the one thing that's very clear from the book is Harry, and he's been in contact with the family, he's been in contact with the clubs, is that he wants people to demand answers for why it happened, how it happened, and all these things, which the families of the two human beings who lost their lives, they deserve those things. They deserve to know, you know, why their loved ones are no longer with us.
Yeah.
And when you read some of the reasons, not necessarily that it happened, but the reasons leading into why it happened, you can understand why there's certain people, certain family members who are angry, to say the least. So let's move on to any other business, mate. Any other business is going to be fun today because I got my ranting boots on. I will say, before you go, slow down. It was an incredible weekend of Championship results.
Yeah,
it's
just
unbelievable.
Ridiculous. You can't, you know, we go last week, we go to Yorkshire derbies, we're going the way that it shouldn't have gone. Leeds United getting beat at home. And then, you know what I mean? I'll just pick those two teams, for example. You know what I mean? If Sheffield go to Leeds and win 2-0, you know what I mean? Then this week they go and get absolutely trolloped at home 5-0. It's just the Championship. It's just the best league in the world. It's just, forget about the Premier League. You know what I mean? The Premier League is boring in comparison. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for VAR making it interesting week in, week out. You know what I mean? I'd hate it, but that's the only thing what people are talking about. They're not talking about the games. Where the Championship, everyone's talking about the games and the players.
Yeah.
You know, which is the most important thing, and that's what keeping football real. And you know what I mean? I'm so looking forward to the running, because now we're going to start to get to the business end now, because the league's getting tight. That's at the top and the bottom. You know what I mean? It's just the playoffs, the top and the bottom. I'm never going to witness. You know what I mean? I think a tighter league, because anyone is beating anyone, and the chances created. I would love to see some kind of facts on chances created. You know what I mean? Because there's a reason why players are playing the Championship, not in the Premier League. Probably because they don't convert the chances. But you know what I mean? The chances what are created in the Championship, I've never seen anything like it. You know, I'm over the weekend that the highlights from Quest go on that long because of the chances created. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? If those were goals, they'd have to double the show. It's just out of hand. It's out of hand, because these chances aren't just any regular chances. They're just unbelievable created chances. And some of the games, what we're going to talk about tonight, were just outstanding. And if they were played in the Premier League, they'd be talked about for years and years and years. So I'm glad that we've got the opportunity to talk about them.
Yeah. We don't talk about that Championship show, mate. Come on.
No,
They're the
like
enemy.
it.
The enemy.
Yeah, it's boring as well. Like, you know what I mean? Well, it's boring. I'm not slagging the player off here.
Yeah.
But they had a lad on for Peterborough United. I just didn't get it. They're running out of pundits.
Yeah. Because they should be asking you, mate, as well.
Ridiculous.
They can't have you.
Refuse. I can't do it. Can't cheat on you.
As I said to what's his name? Was it Johnny, or it might have been someone else? It was going on about it. And then he was on, saying about it, like, oh, they should be on the radio and this and that. And I was like, they couldn't afford us.
Yeah, exactly.
1 million, that's how much it would cost. 1 million each per show.
Yeah. Be the Alan Brazil eat your heart out.
Yeah, he couldn't touch us, mate. Couldn't touch us. But let's go. Where should we start with any other business, mate? Because I've got a feeling there's going to be a bit all over the place. Go on, you go first.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's going to be a bit random today. I've got a little gripe, and we're going to start with with Derby getting charged with the EFL financial rules. And you know what I mean? This is going back to last season, so forget about this season. So going back to last season, that each team had to cut their cloth accordingly, and they obviously didn't. And obviously got found guilty. It obviously had an impact on Middlesbrough, for example. You know what I mean, with not being able to go out and spend and splash the cash to go at that other level to get in the playoffs, which they missed out on. And Derby pushed them all the way, and obviously got themselves in the playoff final. And then they get found guilty. But then all of a sudden this season, this go and sign Wayne Rooney. It just, the whole thing just doesn't add up to me. And I think that you might as well not have a cap. You might as well not have these rules in place if teams and clubs can find a loophole in them to just to basically to break the rules. You know what I mean? Because if they can break the rules, then anyone else can do it. And if it takes a betting company, or if it takes some other company who can get a loophole and bring a player in, then why on earth aren't Leeds United doing it, Middlesbrough doing it, Bristol City doing it, Cardiff City doing it? It just doesn't add up to me. You know what I mean? They've got to. These rules need to be black and white, so everyone sticks to them. And if they're not, then you get punished accordingly. For me,
yeah, I think the problem is with professional sport, when you get to the highest level or the higher levels, is clubs, teams, nations, people, athletes will do anything to get ahead, anything to bend the rules without breaking them. And sometimes they break them. Where they're trying to do that. So you will always get clubs and owners and chief executives or whatever trying to bend those rules. If you've got a salary cap, how can we get around it? There's a transfer ban, what can we do? If we haven't got any money, how can we get around it? If we can't afford, because financial fair play, we can't afford to bring in, I'm using Rooney as an example. I'm not saying Derby have done anything wrong. In that deal, but we can't afford Rooney, but he wants to come because he's going to replace Koku.
Yeah.
So how can we get around it? Yeah. And that's never going to change in professional sport ever.
Yeah.
But if a club, a player, whoever, a manager, chief exec, whatever it may be, if someone is proven to have broken the rules, you've got to punish them, and you've got to punish them accordingly. It cannot be a half-hearted kind of piss poor, just nothing. And I think the FA and the Premier League and all these organisations in Britain, they do a lot of this stuff. Even FIFA and UEFA, they're all, whether it's racism or financial fair play or whatever it is, it's half-hearted unless it suits them. Unless it's
I totally agree. Si, I mean, so they've got to take a stand. They didn't take a stand with racism. They don't take a stand with anything else. You know what I mean? So they've got to do it with something, because they can't just let people just break the rules. You know what I mean? It's not even what they say, bending the rules. It's not bending the rules at all. It's cheating. It's basically cheating. You know what I mean? But teams are getting away with it. So, you know what I mean? If teams are allowed to do it. You know, we spoke earlier about Premier League teams used to do it. I'm going back years and years and years. And Mike Ashley's done it in Newcastle. That Mike Ashley puts money into the club and calls it an interest-free loan. Well, he's an owner of a football club. It's not an interest-free loan at all. It's coming from his bank and it's going back in his bank. But it goes back in his bank probably in a year's time when he gets his Sky money. Just don't. Football fans are not stupid. Pundits aren't stupid. We're not stupid. You know what I mean? So don't insult our intelligence about calling it an interest-free loan when everybody knows what's involved in it. You know what I mean? Just say, I'm buying a player and hopefully we'll be successful so we can recoup the money back. There you go.
Yeah, it's shady, innit? And I mean, very, very quickly, just going back to the book, obviously there's a chapter in there about the agents and that side of the Emiliano Sala deal. And again, you see the shady side of football where you've got this agent who's not a registered agent and he's banned in France, yet he's making all the arrangements and doing the transfer. So, but anyway, we'll get to that in that other show. But you mentioned there, well, we both mentioned about UEFA and FIFA and the way and the FA and the Premier League, the way they dealt with things where people break the rules. It's often half-hearted. You mentioned, and I mentioned, racism. Yesterday on Sky, on Super Sunday, Patrice Evra was back on. He was on in October on the Monday Night Football, where obviously we talked about at the time, where Jamie Carragher apologised to him about the T-shirts which the Liverpool team had made when he was or worn when he was captain of Liverpool, and he had worn it supporting Luis Suarez after he was racially abused, Evra. And Evra revealed in the show pre-match, I think it was, that Liverpool wrote to him, I think, a week or two after that show in October, finally apologising, for, obviously, I don't think he went into great detail of what it said, but if they apologised for the whole incident. And I've got to say, I think it's embarrassing.
It's rightly so, though, Si. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, you know what I mean? I don't see why they should. You know what I mean? Why did that game yesterday didn't need to become any bigger? You know what I mean? So for me to make another, I won't call it an issue because that sounds really disrespectful to Patrice Evra. But you know what I mean? Sometimes these things are better done just behind closed doors, a bit private. You know what I mean? Because it was a big thing for Evra. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, to be racially abused and the way it was done, you know what I mean, and to be found that it happened, you know what I mean, that it's a little bit embarrassing that for Liverpool and for the players, because if Luis Suarez is still at Liverpool,
they don't apologise, do they?
They don't apologise, do they? So you know what I mean, because they're going to back their own player, you know what I mean. So if that player was still there, so I do find it very, very strange and a little bit like it's a backhanded apology, you know what I mean. So I wasn't comfortable with it, I'll be honest. It wasn't something which sat nicely with me, you know what I mean. But you apologise if people mean it, then you don't know until.
Look, to me, the fact it took 11 years or 9 years, whatever it is, to me, the reason that apology has come when it's come is because it's come 2 weeks after the October Monday Night Football show, where Carragher had to address it because he was in the same room as Evra. He had to, he couldn't not say anything. So they had to bring it up, particularly on the Monday night show where it's a bit more, relaxed and they kind of have a general conversation. Now, to me, social media was a light for the days after that with people, saying, where's the apology from Liverpool, et cetera, et cetera. And I do believe that's the only reason that this apology has come. Yes, it's great. It should, it's finally come. Fantastic. But one, there shouldn't have been a need for them to apologise because they should have never backed him in the way they did. You can back him and say he's made a mistake. We don't agree with it, etc., etc. We're going to help him get support to understand what he's done. That sort of thing. You don't wear T-shirts and all this crap. Basically victim shaming, which then leaks into the fans as well. Because you think how much abuse Patrice Evra's taken since he was racially abused.
I know he's a victim. He's a victim, and he's getting portrayed to be something else. And all of a sudden, everyone's feeling sorry for Liverpool players and Luis Suarez in particular. And that's just it. You know what I mean? It's like all of us now. We're all going to wear Bulgaria tops to feel sorry for Bulgaria. It's just not going to happen, is it? It's ridiculous. Just stop it and just get on with it. Yeah.
Especially when you think of it like that, and you look at it as just as what it is. Player was racially abused, and then you're coming out wearing T-shirts supporting the abuser.
I think this is the thing, Si, isn't it? You know what I mean? That when you're in that bubble and you're playing and you think it's a good idea to stick it on, and then Jamie down the line, 10 years down the line, is working for Sky Sports, and all of a sudden he's working alongside all these kind of pundits, and these things are happening. He's having to say so. And all of a sudden on that Monday night, somebody puts a tweet and a question in saying, how does Patrice feel that Jamie wore a T-shirt saying that he accepted racism, but now he's saying he doesn't like it? And then Sky obviously got to deal with it. It's a knock-on effect, and it just makes it makes Sky look stupid. It makes Jamie look a little bit stupid and naive at the time, and you know what I mean. And you listen, I'm a big fan of Sky Sports. I'm a big fan of the Monday Night Football, the way that Jamie and Gary do it, and things. But you know what I mean. I think sometimes, you know what I mean, that they're the first to agree that they both made a mistake when they were players, and fans have to accept that, and just, you know what I mean, if anything, they've done anything and said anything and acted in a certain way whilst they were playing as a pundit now, I'd like to think they wouldn't do the same and act the way the same, and if they did, then unfortunately they won't be working on TV any longer. Yeah,
and I got to say, as players, I disliked both of them. I thought both of them were quite overrated as well. But as pundits, they are them two, and Danny Higginbottom. I think are the three best pundits in the UK. Obviously, other than yourself. I do say Roy Keane's up there as well, but just because he does not care. So sticking with Sky.
Oh God,
the aftermatch of Keane versus Carragher, I thought was really intriguing to watch, because Keane gets so angry over like nothing.
No. I think it's like Roy Keane's like a dog with a bone. You know what I mean? That you try to take it off him or tell him it's not his, that he won't let it go. And if he thinks it's black, then it's black. You know what I mean? And he'll not let it go until it's finished. And you know what I mean? And I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. He does it as a manager. He played like that as a player. You know what I mean? He's just like that as a person. So you know what I mean? I think it's only a good thing. And he's passionate about Man United, and he's passionate about managers being given a chance, because I think his biggest bugbear is he didn't get a fair crack and being given time. And his words yesterday was time, and managers should be given time. And listen, we go on about managers in the Championship being given time, and if they hadn't, you know what I mean, imagine how many different managers we would have. You know what I mean? Middlesbrough would have had a new manager. Cardiff would have had about 3 managers. You know, so it's other teams. Luton would have lost a manager. Stoke City would have had a couple of managers. Managers need time. Managers have got to be given an opportunity to have a platform and to build something special, because as long as they don't massively fall out of the division, like, for example, if Stoke City go down, for example, you're talking about a different thing. Or if Leeds United got relegated, it's a different scenario. But, you know what I mean?
If they're doing okay.
Yeah, you've got to be given an opportunity, you know, that, you know what I mean? I think any other Cardiff City manager would have been given a little bit of respite with the way that the games have gone at the minute. You know what I mean? Because if it's fresh ideas, fresh approach, but because they brought in a similar figurehead, then
it's not.
It's a frustration. But going back to Sky and the way that the pundits and Patrice Evra, I think it was handled badly, in my opinion. Handled badly again. But they keep making the same mistakes all the time. Yeah. When are they going to learn? You know what I mean? Because just because an apology is the right thing to do doesn't mean they do it live on TV and think that, oh, we've done it now, we can forget about it and it doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. Kid stuff.
I thought Keane made an excellent point about Frank Lampard, though, where he said, look, Frank Lampard's lost 8 games this year.
Totally agree.
So yeah, he's only been in the job 6 months, but Solskjaer hasn't been in the job even 18 months, and people, want him out. And it's like, you got to give him time to build something. And, is Frank Lampard getting more time because he's an English manager? Because, they're both club legends at their clubs.
Yeah.
They're both.
And then Roy turned round, Si, and said, and he didn't even achieve anything in the Championship.
Yeah,
he didn't. He got in the playoff final. Roy Keane's been promoted out of the Championship. He won the league, I think, at Sunderland.
Yeah, they ran away with it, didn't they?
Yeah, and I think he's been promoted with Ipswich as well. So Roy's he's got that CV, and I think it's the way he comes across. You know what I mean? If he just works on the facts and he works on the points, his points are proven because of his own track record. It's the way he comes about. You know what I mean? Because his point was that, in my opinion, that he's more a successful manager than Frank Lampard is, but he wasn't given time. And if he was given time, he could have succeeded even more. And I totally agree with that, because Roy's ideas, Roy now, especially with working in Ireland and the things, Roy would have been something even more special because of the players he could have probably attracted and the managers and the experience he's got from World Cups and European Championships and international nights and things. Just working part-time at Ireland, it must be phenomenal.
I used to think he was going to take over from Fergie. I did.
Yeah, so
before they fell out, because I thought it was so natural.
Plan, yeah. I think that was a long-term plan for me. I thought it would have been a natural progression for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I move on to my zonal marking, you mentioned about the winter break.
Yeah, I've just been. I looked at some of the Championship team. Oh well, I'll tell a lie. Watched the Middlesbrough game on Friday night and watched the manager interview after and before, and explaining that players are tired and they needed a break. For me, bread and butter is the league. You know what I mean? So for me, the chance to rest players would have been Tottenham Hotspur in midweek away from home, which for me is a nothing game for the football club, which didn't really mean anything. You know what I mean? It was a nice day out, and a few more youngsters could have been blooded, for example, but you keep your best players and the players you need for the most important game, which is Friday night. And because you've got that less day rest. So, you know what I mean? Part of me thought, well, should we have a winter break, which then stops all this nonsense about lads needing a rest? The professional footballers are highly tuned athletes who should be able to play 3 games a week. When I played, I was expected to play 3 games a week. We expected to play Saturday, Monday on bank holiday weekends. Horrible. You know what I mean? Your body ached for probably weeks after it. But listen, it is what it is. And you know what I mean? Scotland do it in the SPL. I'm not a big fan of it, but if it meant that we were watching the best players week in, week out, and you're playing your strongest team, then is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know what I mean? I think it depended on when it was. You know what I mean? Because if it was over Christmas period, it'd be a nightmare because the attendances are a lot bigger. People like watching games on Boxing Day, New Year's Day. So it's obviously dependent on when it is. But I just think it's a debate to have potentially. You know what I mean? Where, you know what I mean, people resting players and people saying that they're picking up niggly injuries because of all the amount of games over Christmas. Well, you know what I mean? There's a way to do it. But then people just go away to Dubai. I know Celtic and Rangers they've been in Dubai on warm winter training and doing lots of fitness stuff. Well, that defeats your optics again because you're playing friendlies, you're doing fitness. So you're probably working harder than it would have been if you had games. So it's a strange one. It's a strange one. I just don't get it. But
so I put another side to it to you then, okay? So we don't have the winter break. Rashford has got a stress fracture in his back. Yeah, he's out for a long time. Harry Kane out for a long time. Both really are their club's sole first choice strikers.
And England's.
But if you think like outside of Rashford, you've got like Martial, Daniel James, and Greenwood, who would be more forwards than centre forwards. So they tend to, they play wider or in just behind, unless Rashford's not playing. Same with Kane. You've got Son, and you've got a couple of the wide players. They'll play up front if they need to, but Kane is the guy who plays week in, week out. If those two miss the Euros, which is a chance that could happen with the injuries they've got.
Yeah.
Would they have missed it if they had a winter break over Christmas or after Christmas? You just don't know, do you?
Yeah, I think you can go back, Si. And I think for me, it got mentioned, and I can't remember what Euros it was. It was when Wayne Rooney broke his foot at Chelsea.
2004.
Going back, so I'm going back the donkey's years, aren't I? And they mentioned it then because they said if Wayne Rooney had gone to that tournament fully fit, England would have won the tournament. And you can't say things like that because that's a ridiculous statement to say. Yes, Wayne was a pivotal player for England and for Man United at the time, and was probably one of the informed players in the world. But having a winter break does not mean he wasn't going to break his foot in the first game back. So you know what I mean? It's yes, it's the stress put on your body, and people say it's a stress fracture. So it's the amount of stress you're putting on your body. But it was a tackle, and tackles unfortunately happen. And we're obviously going to go and talk about a few of them, what happened at the weekend. And some tackles are horrific. And luckily enough, especially this weekend, some players got out of them unscathed. But there's times when people go in intentionally to hurt people, and it's ridiculous. And these are the things that we need to eradicate out of football, so people aren't getting injured. Because you know what I mean. It's. I remember when back in my days, when the manager's telling you to win your battles, go and win your first tackle, go and get stuck in so he knows you're there. You won't get that. You can't do that now. You know what I mean? But that was the instruction. That was the last thing you heard when you left that change room. Win your battle, win your first tackle, let him know you're there. So what are you going to do? You're not going to let your manager down. You're not going to let your players down. You're not going to let the fans down. So you do exactly what the manager wants, and you stick something on him. And you know, it's just what you're being told to do. It's not malicious. It's not personal towards a person. But some of the tackles I saw at the weekend, Jesus, they looked personal. Some of them looked horrific.
There was three in the championship. Which
horrific.
3 in the championship, particularly 3 challenges from different games, which I thought were absolutely disgusting. I really thought they were bad, and one of them didn't even get a booking. And then you've got another player getting sent off for the referees making out like he stamped on a player.
He tickled him. He tickled him, and we'll go on about it. It's ridiculous. Right, I'm ready for it, Si. Beat me drum ready.
To finish off any other business, I'd just like to say that zonal marking is the greatest thing that has ever been. Now, zonal marking, mate, is the reason why there is so many teams conceding off set pieces. You saw it in the El Plastico yesterday with the just pissed. Like Harry Maguire is arguably England's best header of the ball.
He's probably the best header in the Premier League side.
And he's not marking Virgil van Dijk because they're marking their zone. So then you've got
outside. I put a tweet out yesterday, and I felt so sorry for that kid because it was Young Williams. Yeah. So Young Williams is
him and Fred, weren't they, marking him?
Young Williams marking Van Dijk, and Van Dijk is about 3 foot bigger than him,
and he's got a run on him.
And he's got a run on. Then he's got a run on Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire's got to try and jump the same height as from a standing jump. It's just ridiculous. But then it's giving goals. It's giving us that gift of goals. So you know what I mean. I hate it, but at the same time, it's giving us goals and gives us more things to talk about. So it's
how bad has defending been in the Championship and the Premier League this year? And I do think I know it's not just this year's come in, but I think the last couple of years, nearly every team has switched to it. And I think the standard of defending, particularly from set pieces, has been dreadful.
But say I look at you know what I mean. I'm not going back to when I played, but we always used to have a player on the post. Never see that now. You know what I mean. So where were those players? What are those players doing? So their job, if my job was to stand on the front post and not just cuddle the post, my job is to mark and to push out and to make sure if the ball beats a goalkeeper, I'm another line of defence. But if those players aren't on the post anymore, what are they doing? Do you know what I mean? Because they've got to be marking somebody, but you're still letting goals in, so you might as well be on the post because you've got 10 spare players. You know what I mean? Liverpool yesterday, for example, the goalkeeper stays back. I'm sure they had two centre halves back, or 2 defenders back, sorry, and they had somebody taking the corner. So that's 4 players, right? That's 4 players. So that leaves you 7 more players in the box against Man United's 9.
Yeah,
and they still let a goal in. So what on earth are those 2 players, those 2 spare players doing? It's, you know what I mean. For me, it should be man against man, height against height, 7 against 7, and the 2 players do your job of whatever you're told to do. If that's a post, if that's a space, if that's edge of the box, that's whatever it may be, to stop a short corner, whatever that may be, you do your job. And if you don't do your job, it's very easy to find out, because if Virgil van Dijk scores, he's my man. It's my fault.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
It's that easy.
And the thing is, as well, is like with zonal marking, is every attacking player from a set piece has like a 5-yard run on the defenders. Now, you know, anyone who's ever played football or ever jumped or done a running jump, it will, you know, you can jump higher and more aggressively from a 3 or 4 steps jumping into the air than you can from a standing start. No matter how good you are in the air, how good you are a header in it. And I think it's just asking for trouble. It's inviting trouble.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of the old zonal marking. I prefer defenders to take responsibility for their player, and you know who's doing what.
I think those side makes it a lot easier though as well. Like players then know, you know what I mean? Because let's take the goal yesterday for example. Whose fault was the goal?
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it?
Well, because it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault because he's not marked by a man, is he? So you know what I mean? Because if I was watching that game and I had to pick somebody whose fault it was, I'd have to say it was Williams' fault because he was the closest man to him and he didn't block him or he didn't jump higher than him. But it's a mismatch. There was about a 1.5 foot difference, without a jump, and I'm guessing Van Dijk can jump a lot higher than Williams can, and that's just from looking at the 2 individuals myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know what I mean? And like I look at Cardiff City, for example. I look at a lot of Championship players, and Steve Morrison, Nelson, Aidan Flint, Sol Bamba. What is the point of those 4 players marking zonally when they're the 4 best headers in the league? They might as well go tight to a man and stop their 4 best headers winning the ball.
Yeah, attack the ball. So why do managers like it so much?
I don't know.
What do they like about it? What do managers? Why do managers like this 4-2-3-1 formation? Everyone plays it. You know what I mean? What does it give you different than 4-4-2 gives you? What does it give you different than 3-5-2 gives you? You know what I mean? It's. Yeah, but like with those, like for those formations, for instance, I can understand the benefits of different formations.
Oh, so can I say? But
I don't understand the benefits of the zonal marking. Like I don't really get it. What it brings to the party.
I don't because what's happening is, and it happened yesterday. I know I don't like to talk about the Premier League games, but you've got Man United's best headers. You've got Lindelof, you've got Maguire, you've got others stood on the 6-yard box, hoping that the ball's going to be put on the 6-yard box.
Yeah.
But the ball wasn't put on the 6-yard box. It was put in between the 6-yard box and the penalty spot. So the attacker, however you want to call it, the attacking player has got a run from the edge of the box. So he's got momentum. He's got a bit of elevation. De Gea's got absolutely no chance. There's no chance. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing, Si, for the goal that was disallowed for the Van Dijk when he jumped up. You know what I mean? The height he got up, he got higher than De Gea got. You know what I mean? So it shows how tall he is. So you're asking a young, inexperienced, smallish left back to mark a world-class international footballer when somebody else is not doing their job properly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree completely. Zonal marking needs to go in the bin.
Doesn't need to go in the bin, you're right. Because what the problem we've got is, because Liverpool do it, because Man United do it.
Other kids teams will do it.
Other teams do it. And because other teams do it, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on to the games. I've had enough of zonal marking. On to the games, pal. As voted for by the people, you can vote. Every Saturday night, myself or Andy will put up a poll on the Ace Podcast Nation Twitter page where you can pick or you can vote in the 3 polls for the main 3 featured games of the week. And I'm happy to say that we got some different teams this week, because we do normally have Borough and Cardiff. So no Borough, they didn't make the cut. Cardiff survived, as is custom when they play badly. They get loads of votes. So we'll start with Birmingham 1, Cardiff City 1.
A poor start against I won't go straight into the Birmingham game, but obviously played Carlisle United midweek, and they got off to an awful start again. So they're not starting games very well, and you're giving teams, good teams as well, by the way, because Birmingham aren't the poor side they used to be last year and the year before. They have a good young side, and they've got fresh players, and you can't start poorly. You can't give sloppy free kicks away, throw-ins away, corners away, because it comes back to bite them on the backside. And I thought it was an excellent set piece. It wasn't hung up for the big centre halves for Cardiff to attack. It was drilled in a little bit lower, and it caused a real confusion, because I think everyone was expecting it to be a little bit higher. And there was Jude Bellingham on the line to tap home, and we've raved about him on the show, Si, and so just probably right about right that he'd come back and bite us on the backside a little bit, that he'd get a goal, but you can't defend like that from set pieces. You can't defend like that at the start of the games, and Cardiff just did not get themselves going whatsoever in the first half. And if it wasn't for a fantastic Smithy save from Bellingham again just before half time, it would have been 2-0. And you know what I mean? I watched that save about 4 or 5 times, and every time I watch it, I think it just looks better and better. It was Schmeichel-esque that he came out and made himself as big as he could. His arms were spread eagled, his legs were, and you know what I mean? If it didn't hit his arms, it would have hit his chest. If it didn't hit his chest, it might have hit his head. And you know what I mean? The centre forward's got limited space. He can put that ball, and you know what I mean? I question the manager really that why he put Smithies in, but Etherington, you know what I mean, he's going to struggle to get back in if Smithies is playing the way he did. Because I thought in second half as well, I thought he was excellent. He made another good save from Jukovic. I think that was at 1-1. But whatever the manager's saying at half time is just doing a great job at half time talking to the players, because they're coming out like a different side, and I questioned, was it fitness that was causing the problems? And then I thought, well, it can't be fitness, because the finishing game's strong. They're finishing the second half, or they're doing really well in the second half, so it can't be fitness. Is it tactics? Is it belief? Is it confidence? I don't know what it is, but Cardiff came out second half. I thought they were excellent. I thought Lee Tomlin should have had probably could have had a penalty. You know what I mean? I think if it's not a penalty, I don't think it's a dive, because I think it's really clever play. It's really quick feet, and the defender's gone to try and win the ball and he's got nowhere near it. So even if he hasn't got much contact on the ball, he's dived in, and he's dived in such a wrong place. And you know what I mean? For me, it's a penalty, because he's dived in and he shouldn't have. But I think it was only right that Lee got the deserved equaliser in the second half, but not from a normal Lee Tomlin worldie. It was from a header, which I thought the keeper was at fault. He shouldn't have come out across behind the goalkeeper and Lee cut across and put the header in. And I think after that, Cardiff had a couple of chances, had a lot of the balls in the box, but couldn't really get the winner. And like I said, Jukovic had a really good header saved by Smithies. And you know what I mean? I think you probably would have taken a point away at Birmingham, because I think it's a hard place to go to, but it's the way Cardiff are starting games, Si, and you can't start and give any team in the league a head start. We did it at Cardiff, Carlisle, through the week. We did it in his first game at Charlton Athletic. We've done it at all the home games, and you know what I mean. They've got to start games better, because if you can go 1-0 ahead, 2-0 ahead in the Championship, you know what I mean. You're asking other teams to chase the game. You know what I mean. That we'll talk about QPR Leeds later on. Leeds went 1-0 down. They're chasing the game, and then by the time they're in the 85th, 89th minute, they're making silly mistakes and silly decisions, and all of a sudden you've lost your discipline, you lose the game. But Cardiff need to start games better, Si, 100%. Yeah,
they just don't seem to be able to get a whole game of a performance. It's very much, you know, half a game. First half or second half, they're good. The rest of it's poor. Make no mistake, Smithy, if it's not for Smithies, they lose that game, and they lose that game pretty comfortably. I thought Birmingham were very, very good. Cardiff, without, as we've said this for probably a month now, mate, without Lee Tomlin, would be down fighting towards relegation. I'm still worried that we are going to slide. What is that?
I don't know.
Don't know where it's coming from. But that proper worries me, that without Tomlin's performances, his creativity, his goals, I would think we would be hurtling towards relegation, because I just don't see where else the creativity is coming from. The wingers are not consistent. We say this all the time. Yes, Harris is getting a tune out of them, when he gives his team talk, but he's got to do better from the start of games.
I think Si, going on your point about Lee Tomlin there, that if Cardiff don't bring any players in the window, I think the best business of the season is giving Lee Tomlin a new contract and tying him down, because it was a I think the manager has obviously showed how important a player he is for the football club. That he started the season really well, got himself in good shape, got ill, got himself back injured again, lost his shape, lost his form, lost his confidence, came back. He's came back probably under Neil Warnock, lost it again, came back under new manager, and he's now starting to show that form that we all know. We all know. It's just he's just a very good player, and there's not many better in the Championship on his day. No,
and he hit the post. He should have had a penalty. If that's anywhere else on the pitch, that's a penalty.
100%. It's a free kick. It's a free kick. Yeah, it's a foul. Yeah, 100%. I agree, and I just think I don't know. I'm not saying it is a penalty. I haven't got my blue tinted glasses on. I'm just when a defender decides to get stuck in and dive in the box, you've got to be 1,000,000% sure you're going to win that ball, and he didn't win the ball. So
he didn't get the ball. He made contact.
Yeah, for me. It's a free kick. It's a free kick. It's a penalty. It's a foul.
Yeah, I don't see any other way around it, really. It would have been soft, but
that's been softer ones all season, given against Cardiff, and So
Jude Bellingham linked with I think it was £25 million move to Manchester United over the weekend.
We've said
with him going back on loan to Birmingham for the rest of the season. But we've said stay there for 3 years.
Bad move. Unless for me, the only way I would do that is if the loan back to the football club was for 18 months, minimum 18 months. So this season and all of next season, with a guarantee that he plays probably every minute of every game, if fit. What I mean? Because he needs to develop. He needs to play regular football. What I mean? Because the stats don't lie on him, Sty, as well. That what I mean? Yes, he's a very good player. He's a very young player. Here we go through here. So his debut, 80 minutes, 15 minutes, 61, 71, 60, 15, 8, 73, 75, 86, 68, 90. So he's only played 3 full games in his career. Do you know what I mean? It's not a lot. He's a young player, so he needs to. He needs to understand how that feels, how that 95th minute feels, and what I mean. He's only going to do that by playing more of them games, and what I mean. And hopefully, he doesn't make a rash decision, and the club don't make a rash decision and go and cash in on him, because I think it'd be a travesty for everybody involved.
Yeah, we've said, haven't we, that we think he should stay with Birmingham for 2 or 3 years. He'll still only be 19, 20, but he'll have 150 games under his belt at a championship level to take that on to go and perform at the Premier League or wherever he goes. And the other thing is, I dare say, if he was to go to Manchester, say he goes to Manchester United now, I think he would probably play a considerable amount of games for a 16-year-old at Manchester United, because Solskjaer's there. But what's to say Solskjaer's not going to be there? He could be gone in the summer, and then you could have another manager who doesn't want him, doesn't fancy him, and then you're stuck like Wilfried Zaha was when he went to Man United. The manager changed, and he was kind of stuck for a couple of years. He wasted a couple of years of his career. Now I know, he's a lot younger, and he needs time. But I just think Birmingham need to hold strong, because it's going to be tempting to take 25 million for a 16-year-old kid who's come through your academy, cost you nothing. You pay him barely nothing. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
it's not
No, I
like they're
totally agree.
paying him big wages and they need to get him off the wage bill. There's no reason at all to sell him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So the things are, it's just got to play the game. They've got to play the game, and they have to understand that that he's going to be a big player for them. You know, moving forward, because it's how many players has it happened to side that they go and sign for a football club, get loaned back, and they don't perform the way that they have done because it's the mentality's changed as well. You know what I mean? It's a tough one because you put yourself in that situation as a young kid. Probably you overnight you've made it. Overnight you've made it. Your life's changed tenfold, and we just need to make sure that the football is the most important thing, and hopefully he can carry it on because he's a cracking player.
He's a special player, mate, and you know, I do believe that he will go to the very top. You know, at least play. You know, have a long Premier League career and win trophies. I think now is so important for him. And to me, look at what happened with Gareth Bale. Look at what happened with Aaron Ramsey, who played games in the Championship for Cardiff and Southampton. Yeah. Got those games under their belt. So when they made that big move to a big club, they were ready to play first team football.
Yeah, totally agree, Simon. And that's the most important thing for me, because he's a footballer. You know, he's a young footballer. He's still learning his game. He's still learning his trade, and he's probably going to get more competitive games in the Championship than he is in the Premier League, because, you know what I mean, he doesn't want to go there and lose his confidence and be shot to pieces and feel as though he's not good enough, where at the minute he's loving his football, he's playing, he looks confident, he's playing for a team that he adores and loves and fans who adore him. So why not carry it on? Why not? Why? If it's not broke, don't fix it. For me, it's not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I will say, going back to Cardiff City, if Cardiff City do not sign any more players or any players in this window, then I think it's an absolute disgrace. However,
totally agree.
However, I will say Cardiff are on the brink, I think, of writing off this season. They're 13th in the league, are they? I think I saw.
Yeah.
So they're 13th in the league. A few more losses, they could hurtle down towards the bottom. A few more wins, they could hurtle up towards playoffs. I don't think the season's over, because I think that they should be capable of making a push for the playoffs from where they are.
Yeah.
But, big but, if they are at a boardroom level writing this season off as we're not going to go up, we're not going to go down, so let's not sign anyone, and then let's look at it in the summer. Are we going to keep Harris? Are we going to bring someone else in? Now, if they're, and I don't know if they are, but if they are thinking anything along those lines, I can understand why they don't want to sign anyone. Because if they've got any doubts whatsoever about Harris, they can't really go and give him a few million to spend.
I totally agree, Si, because why would you? Is a business decision. You know what I mean? That if you're a new manager coming into that football club, and it's a little bit dubious about if you're gonna go there, but someone says, "But I'll give you £10 million to go on as a transfer kitty." You know what I mean? You'd snap their hands off, because that kind of money in that kind of squad would just change the fortunes around straight away. But why would they give it to somebody who they're not really sure about? And that's what it seems. That's what it seems to me, that they're not 100% sure about it. Is it the right decision that they've made? You know what I mean? That have they made the right decision?
Yeah, I don't want to. I personally don't I don't want to repeat myself from since he's been brought in, but I believe that he was given the job for a lot of the wrong reasons. My opinion on that hasn't changed. I kind of think he's
not changing. He's not changing your opinion because we're still making the same mistakes as he was since the day he walked in, and we haven't really changed in the way that we've played football since. You know what I mean? If you'd watched the team under Neil Warnock, you watch the team now, there's not that much difference. You know what I mean? That we're still unorganised. We're still there's not really probably a player in the squad or in the team that he's putting who's new, who's a fresh idea. You know what I mean? He's still rotating players with the old manager still rotating. It's like he's still there, but he's not there. It's like
Yeah, I mean, the only player really who's different is probably Tomlin's starting more under Harris.
He's fit now. He's proper fit, really
Yeah.
flying, got confident. He's got himself a new contract. He knows now he's settled. He's settled into what he needs to do, and you know what I mean. And you can see that in his performances.
Yeah,
A happy player.
Excellent.
Happy player. Sai is an excellent player. Straight away, you know you're going to get performances out of him.
Yeah, Cardiff still look schoolboy at the back, by the way.
All over the place, and that shows when you've got 16-year-old boy who's standing on the goalkeeper. You know what I mean? And he's the one who's bullying centre halves and goalkeepers and putting the ball in the net. I'm not saying he did bully anybody, but you know what I mean.
You know what I mean.
You should be able to grab hold of him by the neck and get him out. 16-year-old boy, go away. It's use your experience sometimes and grab the game by the scruff of the neck and pick on the young ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throw a pie at him.
Throw a pie at him. That's it. Throw a pie at him. Like I said, Smithies, who I'll talk about a bit more later on, was excellent. I thought the Birmingham keeper, I was just trying to find his name, had an absolute nightmare for the equaliser. I don't know what he was doing,
Simon, because he has to come through the centre half who's marking Lee Tomlin. So he's got to come through two big players to win the ball. And you know what I mean? And it was just because if he stays where he does and Lee Tomlin gets that header,
just catches it.
He catches it or he punches it out.
Yeah.
It's an easy, relatively easy save for him. So, you know what I mean? For me, he's cost his side. But
yeah. Next up is Millwall 2, Reading 0. Millwall, wow.
Yeah, listen, Si, we question. You question decisions, don't you? You question decisions, and you question why teams let managers go. And I think it's obviously it's relatively simple that Millwall let him go because they wanted to go in a different direction. They were ready to move in a different direction, and some of the football and the attacking play that Millwall play is absolutely outstanding. You know what I mean? That Tom Bradshaw up front is causing numerous problems. I thought he had a very good game. He missed a couple of good chances in the first half. Before Millwall got the goal from Matt Smith in the second half, but you can't give Matt Smith. He's wore the t-shirt. He's a very experienced player, and if you don't mark him on the penalty spot side, there's something wrong. You know what I mean? Reading have had a really good season, especially Mark Bourne's been a revelation. So for them to defend like they did was just ridiculous. And the longer the game goes, they're gonna have to go forward and throw numbers forward. And Jed Wallace broke away. He passed to Bavardson against his old club and slotted it away. And you know, I was so impressed with Jed Wallace. And it's just his all-round game, his creativity, his scoring goals. He's full of running, full of confidence in the 94th minute or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's never ending. But for me, Millwall fully deserved that game, fully deserved the result. Reading, they were always going to falter sometimes. They had to, because the winning streak cannot continue the way that they were doing. You know what I mean? Mark Bourne's he's done a fabulous job, but they had to lose some time, and I think probably Saturday was probably the right time. One massive downer on the game was the referee had to stop the game for homophobic chants, which is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? We're on about racism there, we're on about various things, and I was waiting for obviously for this game for that reason, and so they did a Tannoy announcement that the game's going to get abandoned if it continues. The managers had to get spoke to. And I just think, you know what I mean? Like, have we gone back in time? Are we back to the future? Are we, you know what I mean? And these kind of idiots who go to the football game, you know what I mean? I get you're frustrated. I get you're angry because the way that the game's going or whatever's happening. But it's just a game of football. You know what I mean? We can look back to, you know what I mean? A young man lost his life a year ago tomorrow. You know what I mean? In an airplane crash. You know what I mean? That's real life. A game of football is absolutely nothing in comparison. So, you know what I mean? Just need to take it as it is and just grow up a little bit.
Spot on, mate. It's interesting, isn't it? Because here's a question for you. Is it gone back and is it worse now than it was 10 years ago in terms of these types of things? Or is it the same, but there's more ways to pick it up, more ways to see it, more ways to hear it, more ways for the cameras to pick it up, more ways for the referees to deal with it, and obviously they would have just ignored that 10 years ago.
More.
Is
I
it
think
worse,
so.
or is it just being picked up?
I think it's happening more because we're making a big thing of it. So racism, for example, racism, it happens on the biggest stage. It happened in Bulgaria, and then all of a sudden, everyone says it's out of order. What everyone's talking about is all of a sudden it becomes that you can do it again on Saturday. The people think it's okay to do homophobic behaviour, chants, comments, whatever it may be. If the bloke next to you is doing it, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it okay for you to do it and start laughing about it and joining in and saying this and saying that. You know what I mean? That there's some unbelievable fun chants and unbelievable fun club songs that you can sing and have a laugh to and things. Why do you need to get personal? Why do you need to start going down to the homophobic route, to the racism route? You know what I mean? The sectarianism route. It needs to stop. You know what I mean? Because it's a game of football, and you know what I mean. That these kind of fans they don't deserve to be anywhere near the football clubs if they're going to carry on doing it. No,
and the thing is, football fans generally are so creative in the songs they make up, and some of them are fantastic with like a cheeky side to them, and they're really good. But like, you hit the nail on the head, mate. It's like, grow up and just take it for what it is. And this, apparently it came from the home end as well. Millwall are playing arguably the best football they've ever played. They're 7th in the Championship, and you wouldn't be surprised to see them, go and get a playoff place the way they're playing, the way Gary Rowett's come in. Matt Smith's playing well. Bavardson has been excellent the last last month.
Jed Wallace is
been unplayable.
If not the best player in the Championship at the minute, you know what I mean? So they've got lots of pluses going for them, Si, and you look at the teams above them who are faltering, you know what I mean? Who's to say that they're not on a ridiculous run, and who knows where they could end? But if things like that continue and the club gets charged and they get points deducted or a game gets called off because of it, is it worth it? Is it
distract from it, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? And then the fans have to take responsibility for that because it's got nothing to do with the players. The players are there putting on the show. The players are there trying their best to win for their football club, and the fans, I repeat, the fans are letting the players down. You know what I mean? We're all jump on the bandwagon side when the players let the fans down, or the player lets the club down, or the player lets himself down. But on Saturday at the New Den's been open about 45 years. Mm-hmm. The New Den that the fans let the players down and the club down on Saturday.
Spot on, mate. Spot on. Reading weren't very good, didn't defend very well. Do you think they got anything to worry about, or is just put it down to a bad day?
For me, I think they'll be happy with mid-table. I watched them a couple of times last season, and I thought they were quite QPR stroke Birmingham-esque. They were very poor. But this season they've been revitalised by an excellent manager, coach, and hopefully it continues because we want to see these sides doing well, because they're an ex-Premier League club, not so long ago, so we want to see sides doing well, you know what I mean? But they've been on a great run. I have to come to an end, and to be honest, Millwall was never going to be an easy game, so I wasn't surprised that Millwall beat them.
No. Next up, the big one, Sheffield Wednesday 0.
How?
Blackburn Rovers 5. Now, we have been saying for about 2 months that Blackburn have been playing excellently. They've been playing really well. We couldn't believe where they were in the league.
No. We said those side, didn't we? We said if all of their players play to the best of their ability on a game, that someone's going to get a hiding. You know what I mean? But I will also say there was a couple of big moments in that game which went for them massively. Yeah. But I've wrote down here, side men against boys, because Tony Mowbray's interview was quite good, and he focused on the 11v11 first. And the 11v11, he said we absolutely battered them. We created more chances in the first 20 to 25 minutes than we did later on, because he said we came out the traps really strong. We did really well. And we thoroughly deserved the win, you know what I mean? But 11v11, he said it made it easier than going down to 10 men. The 10 men, the red card was an absolute disgrace. It's never been a red card. I'd be honest, I'm not even sure it's a yellow card.
No, No,
and I'm not even sure. I'll be honest. I'm not even sure if it's a free kick because the player who's down doesn't really make a big thing of it. It's the player next to the referee whose arms in the air, screaming at him. I'd love to know what he saw to the rest of us, because he must be embarrassed when he saw that back, because it's not a nasty one. It wasn't malicious. It wasn't two-footed. It wasn't intentional. I don't even think he's probably caught him. He's probably brushed him at best. You know what I mean? And I just think it was poor. But you know, I mean, not taking anything away from Blackburn Rovers. I thought Adam Armstrong was absolutely phenomenal. He didn't get his goal, but he created two brilliant goals for Lewis Holtby. I thought the own goal by the goalkeeper was so unfortunate. You know what I mean? The sending off and the goalkeeper. So the two big moments of the game, which probably it's not going to be your day. Those two moments, and unfortunately, you know what I mean. But the quality of Blackburn Rovers side, you know what I mean. Lewis Holtby from midfield. We were worried 2 weeks ago about Bradley Dack and the impact he was going to have, and you know what I mean. You throw him in the equation. What could that score have been on Saturday afternoon? Could have been, it should have been, probably even more. So, Adam Armstrong, brilliant. Lewis Holtby, brilliant. Stuart Downing, you know what I mean? He is a personal friend of mine, but I thought Stewie was absolutely brilliant, and his ball in for the fifth goal from the corner was absolutely fantastic. You know what I mean? It's just his technique, his short range passing, his long range passing, and you know he's found a real home there, and he's just coming to fruition, and I hope it continues, because obviously I know Tony really well. He was a hero of mine when I grew up, and I really want him to do well. I really want the club to see if they can push and get in the playoffs. But you know what I mean? We've said this for ages. They seem to win every game, but they never seem to get any higher in the league. And you know what I mean? They're 11th in the league with 40 points. You know what I mean? They're only 5 points off the playoffs. But you know what I mean? The way that we've raved on about Blackburn Rovers this season, they should be 3rd or 4th in the league, because they've impressed everybody, especially us two.
So here's a hot take for you. I think that Blackburn are going to be that team that ends the season super strong, winning all their games and makes the playoffs. I'd be even more confident if Bradley Dack was in the side. But Lewis Holtby was a free transfer. Yeah. You know, he's played Champions League football, mate. He's I can't understand why other clubs weren't looking for him.
Well, here's a question inside. Let's follow on from that one. So why Blackburn Rovers? Why Blackburn Rovers? You know what I mean? He played for Spurs before, so he knew London. You know what I mean? He could have gone to Brentford. He could have gone to Charlton. He probably could have earned more money going to other clubs in the Championship. Yeah. Than he is playing for Blackburn Rovers. So why Blackburn Rovers? That's the question I would love to ask a player like him, because, like you say, he's a ex-Premier League player. Played in the Champions League, you know what I mean? Like some of look at his CV side.
German
Schalke,
international.
Tottenham Hotspur, Fulham, Hamburg. You know what I mean? He's played.
Sure, he played for Germany. He's German. He's a German international.
He's a German international. He's like the last 4 years for Hamburg. He's played something like 134 games. So this is a player who's not. He hasn't. It's not like he's been injured for 2 years and he's not played a game of football. He's wanted to come back to English football, and he's handpicked. He's handpicked Blackburn Rovers to be his team. Which, why couldn't he come to Middlesbrough, Cardiff?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean,
I wonder. His dad is a British soldier,
right?
So I do wonder whether
he's based in the area in Lancashire.
Yeah, maybe, or even just he's just got a kind of affiliation with England or with Britain.
Yeah, in
that way, and then maybe that's why he wanted to come back.
I think he's got a dartboard out, and he's just put loads of clubs around the numbers, and he just picked one out. So he's done.
Apparently, he's a Liverpool fan. So I mean,
I
apologise to him. He's an Everton fan, but his father supports Liverpool.
He could walk in the Everton team.
I don't think he'll be a Blackburn next year if they don't get promoted. I've got to be honest.
No, I think there'll be something in his contract. You know what I mean? So,
but what a bit of business for them to get him on a free, and then they could go and sell him for a few mil.
But for the rest of the players signed the team as well, you know what I mean?
To play with him,
yeah, to learn from him and stuff. So you know what I mean? That's the best thing. One of the best learning curves for me was playing with some of the world class players I did and train with them. So you know what I mean? For those kind of younger players from Blackburn to train with them like daily, it must be a pleasure.
Absolutely. I thought to Sheffield Wednesday were disgraceful, I've got to say.
Yeah, well,
and I know they had a bit of bad luck, but they were
No.
disgraceful. Their defensive display was awful.
but Sal, you've got they beat Leeds United last week 2-0. So you know what I mean. It's
Makes
chalk
no
and cheese
sense.
that you just can't work it out. But then team selection, Jordan Rhodes substitute didn't get on. Kareem Harris substitute didn't get on. You know what I mean? It was very strange, Si. You know what I mean? No Stephen Fletcher again. Not even in the 16. You know, these are the kind of things that don't add up to me sometimes. You know what I mean? He's whenever Sheffield have struggled, it's normally been when Windle's played up top. You know what I mean? He's come on as sub and he's done okay. But whenever he started, they seem to have really struggled. And you know, I'm not blaming him, but you know what I mean. But for the rest of the team, if you haven't got your figurehead up front of Stephen Fletcher or Jordan Rhodes, or you haven't got the outlet of Kareem Harris, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's gonna impact surely on the way that you play. Yeah,
it is. And they just didn't get going on the weekend. You know, Gary Monk will hope that it's a one-off or just a bad day at the office. But I mean, it's such a heavy defeat, isn't it? And you do wonder how they'll react. You know, they've got to react to it because the games come thick and fast. You know, it's the business end of the season now. You haven't got time to to mope or lick your wounds. You've got to just get on with it. And
they can't take that risk. They can't take that risk as well. They can't take that risk. They can't take the risk of doing no business. If personally, I think I look at the bigger picture and I think Stephen Fletcher must be on his way out. He must be. He's missed too much football over the Christmas period for this to be a coincidence.
Could that be like an age thing though? Maybe it's catching up with him.
I don't know.
He was on fire, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden he stopped playing.
Yeah, he was, and I don't know. But then you look at the Forest game. They played Nottingham Forest, didn't they? Only got 3 weeks ago, and Jordan Rhodes got a hat trick, and they beat them 4-0. So they've had some very, very strange results over the last month.
And even after Jordan Rhodes scored a hat trick, he didn't start the next week, did he? I'm sure he didn't.
No, he didn't start the next week, but he started Windle again. So I don't know why this keeps happening.
So there are 3 main featured games for today. And just before we move on to the other games, just a quick word from our sponsors of the show today. Today's show is brought to you by Away Day Apparel. Away Day Apparel is a group of casually obsessed football fans looking to bring something different to the wardrobes of like-minded people. Please visit their website, awaydayapparel.co.uk. Links in the description. And I will highly recommend giving them a follow on Twitter @AwayDayApparel and Instagram @AwayDay_apparel. 2020 is going to be a very interesting and exciting year for the brand. And especially for listeners and viewers of Ace Podcast Nation, you can get 10% off all orders by using the code AA Podcast Nation, all in lowercase at the till, and get 10% off. Sorted.
Nice.
So, Friday night, the mighty Middlesbrough travelled to Fulham.
I knew it was coming when I seen team selection. You know what I mean? The manager made some. He said he was freshening things up. He was resting a few players, but then for me, it sends a message out to the opposition. And Fulham started really well and got down the sides of Middlesbrough a couple of times. They probably should have been ahead before they did score. And Bryant did very well down the left hand side, crossed it in, Knockout scored. And I thought Fulham were excellent. Technically, they kept the ball really well. They starved Middlesbrough for long periods of the ball. Middlesbrough had a couple of half chances. They hit the crossbar through a deflected Hayden Coulson cross, but didn't really do enough to get anything from the game. And my only surprise was that Fulham didn't capitalise and go for more goals, because that's what they're really good at. They go and get the one, and then they'll go and punish them, especially at home at the Craven Cottage, and go and get 3, 4, and 5. But I was talking to a good friend of mine on Saturday about the game, just reminiscing and just talking about. And I said probably the best thing for Middlesbrough was that Mitrovic didn't play, because I think with somebody so ruthless up front like him, I think he would have put Middlesbrough to bed and probably would have had a couple of goals himself. So I think damage limitations. If Middlesbrough were same thing as Reading, Middlesbrough on a really good run. The run was going to come to an end. So for it to come to an end at Fulham and only get beat 1-0, I think you'd probably take it over the course of a season. So, you know what I mean? You just dust yourself down. You play Birmingham on it'll be Tuesday, so an opportunity to go and get a little bit of payback on them and see if the football club can get rid of the teams below them, because I looked at some of the signings what Huddersfield made and Stoke City have picked up at times, and I know they've got a big game coming up. So Middlesbrough just need to look after themselves and make sure that they pick points up in the right game. So maybe the manager planned all along to play his best side against Birmingham because he saw that as a better game to win, for example. So, you know what I mean? If that's the tactics of the week, then I'll be happy as long as you beat Birmingham. Yeah, but if you backfires and you lose both games, then your best chance of winning is your next game.
Yeah, I didn't think Borough were dreadful by any means. I thought Fulham were very good, and what Fulham I thought did better Friday compared to a lot of the season is they didn't just keep the ball for keeping the ball's sake and just knock it around in their own half. They created chances. They were attacking. They were pressing. They were getting down the sides, getting crosses in. They just squandered a lot of chances.
Yeah, they did. I think I've never seen a side really this season live who gets down the side and gets behind fullbacks as much as Fulham did. You know what I mean? They were excellent, and I think probably their problem was they had no focus point up front. They had no Mitrovic, and he would have made a huge difference, because some of the balls in the box would have been hung up instead of having to be drilled in low. Because all right, the first goal went in from a driven cross, but sometimes you need to hang that ball up and you need someone to attack the ball, and that's meat and drink for someone like Mitrovic. So, you know what I mean? I think thankfully for Middlesbrough he didn't play, because I think it would have been a heavier defeat, so to speak.
Yeah, do you know what? I just realised I forgot to change the screen every time we change the matches and stuff, but that'll be back next week.
Didn't think.
I enjoyed it. I got so into ranting about zonal marking that I forgot to change it when we started talking about the games. But I like that feature, and a couple of people said they liked it, so it will return. It's just I forgot. I thought Paddy McNair had a very good game again.
Yeah, he does. He's very accomplished, Si. You know what I mean? You said a couple of weeks ago about his upbringing, obviously from United, and you know what I mean. Any player who comes through that system is a good footballer. You know what I mean? So he was always going to be a good player, and he just needed to play games and find his home, and hopefully he's done that at Middlesbrough. I
think he deserves to be in the Premier Championship side of the year at the moment. Yeah. If I was picking it today, team of the year, he'd be in it.
Yeah, he's doing really well, and I think what I like about him is he can play in various positions, and the manager played him at centre half against.
I like him as a centre half.
He was very, very accomplished. He got on the ball really well. He played out from the back, which I don't like, but he can do it. So you know what I mean. It's players who can't do it. He's a midfielder though, so midfielders can do it. Centre halves can't, unfortunately. So you know what I mean. So maybe that's why the manager put him there, because he can play out from the back. He's got a good range of passing. So
yeah, Knockout I thought was excellent as well. Yeah. Did you? I was going to say, if you don't like playing from the back, don't watch the League One highlights, because
I've seen them signs. Just
when the keeper got caught, didn't he? Trying to mess about with it.
Just ridiculous. Well, it happened in the FA Cup the other week as well. That was it Rochdale. Did Rochdale do it against Newcastle? And yeah, it's just. I don't know what goes through people's heads. I think I've gone past that. I've gone past the blaming players now, because the managers must be telling them to do it. Because managers aren't on the touchline going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" They're letting them do it. They're telling them to do it.
Yeah, you could say that the keepers or the defenders, maybe they're under pressure and they're bottling it. Which brings me on to the next game, which is QPR 1, Leeds United 0. What are they doing?
We said it last week, Simon. We use the word, and we don't use it. We don't use it very, very often. But Leeds bottled last week against Sheffield Wednesday, and for me, they bottled it again. And they didn't just bottle this game, because there was a tackle in the second half by Phillips, and I thought it was absolutely just disgusting. And I'll tell you why I thought it was. I thought it was disgusting because he's let his whole team down. Because why he did it, he was just petulant because his side were getting beat and he wasn't getting the rub of the green. And he lost the ball, so he had a bad touch. So he thought, hang on a minute, I'll just leave one in, get stuck in and go over the ball a little bit. And it was just nasty. You know what I mean? It just didn't need to happen, because it's a knock-on effect side. It's a 3-game suspension, so he misses Leeds United's next 3 games, which You know what I mean? Who they've got? They've got Millwall at home, Wigan at home, Forest away. You know what I mean? Why would you want to, as a footballer, why would you want to miss those kind of games? Because Leeds have lost the last 2. The manager's going to have to change things around. He's going to have to change things around, and whoever plays, and they start turning the fortunes around. They will, because they're a good side. You want to be in that side when it happens, because, you know what I mean? QPR, we've said all season side, they score goals. They'll score goals in every single game. I think this is the first time I've known QPR not to let a goal in, and they played against the best side in the league. So, but Leeds still created loads of chances. They missed a shed loads of chances. But I don't blame anybody but themselves, the clubs and the manager, because if you don't go and spend money on a centre forward who can score your goals, then you've got nobody to blame but yourself. You know what I mean? I can sit here and I can blame Patrick Bamford for missing a penalty. I could sit here and say it's his fault. But then he's played more football than I think he should have played. I think they should have played Nketiah. They should have brought in another centre forward to take the pressure and rotate and find that magic formula to take the pressure off players, because, you know what I mean, it's dead easy just to say, yeah, it's his fault or it's his fault. But, you know what I mean, Leeds, they seem to play the same team week in, week out, and, you know what I mean, over the last couple of weeks they've been found out a little bit by Sheffield Wednesday and QPR, and, you know what I mean, I've just named some teams there who they've got this week and next week, and, you know what I mean, Millwall
Wouldn't fancy that.
Going to, you know what I mean, Millwall they're going to go to Leeds and fancy their chances, and, you know what I mean, the fans will go there with a bit of reputation, and it'll be a feisty game on and off the pitch, and it wouldn't surprise me if Millwall went and got results, but at the same time, Leeds could have easily turned it around and give somebody hiding as well. So, you know what I mean? But for me, I'm not saying QPR deserved to win the game, because I don't think they did. But
No.
End of the day, you know what I mean? That Naki Wells scored a relatively lucky goal off a deflected free kick, but they hung on and they still caused a few problems as well, though, Si. You know what I mean? So sometimes you deserve that little bit of luck, and it was an excellent goalkeeping save for the penalty. So, you know, it wasn't a bad penalty. I thought it was a half decent penalty in the corner, but it's a very, very good save.
Yeah, it was a very good save. I thought QPR played well. I thought they defended really well, but, you know, we've been saying since September, mate, that Patrick Bamford's not the answer for Leeds if they want to go and get promoted and they want to, you know, go back to where they were years ago. Good player, good young player, quite like him, but he's not the answer. And unfortunately for him, you know, because I don't want to be slating him all the time, but he's missed chances in really vital times and big games.
Yeah.
And they needed a response after the Sheffield Wednesday game, and he missed the penalty, he missed a one-on-one. You know, you're Leeds United number 9, you've got to be taking those chances.
Totally agree.
And I got to say as well, I think that their nerves, if you want to call it that, started when they were 3-0 up to Cardiff and surrendered the lead.
Yeah.
Draw 3-3. Ever since then, they have just looked edgy. They've been snatching at chances and not quite playing the same slick football that they were. I'm not saying it's down to Cardiff. I'm just saying that game seems to have affected them long term. Yeah.
Well, so but it was always going to be, though, because that was quite a pivotal game, and for the game to go as it did, you know what I mean. That's it. It was certainly 2 points dropped that afternoon. You know what I mean, for them. You know what I mean. So it's potentially had a bigger a bigger issue afterwards than probably everyone thought it was going to have. And you know what I mean. It wasn't everyone laughs and enjoys it when a team bottles it and a team falls down. We've gone about Derby, have done it in previous years. Leeds have done it before. You know what I mean. So other big clubs have done it, but you know what I mean. For me, Leeds have been one of the best sides, if not the best side, going forward, creating chances defensively. So you know what I mean. It would be an absolute travesty if they didn't go up, because you know what I mean. I watched them in the FA Cup against Arsenal as well, and down at the Emirates, and I thought they were absolutely superb. And then these are the kind of teams that I would like to see in the Premier League, because they've got a good following. You know what I mean? And it's not a vendetta against Leeds. It's nothing of the case. You know what I mean? I've got friends who are Leeds fans, but they're bottling it. They bottled last week, they bottled this week, and they've got to get it right very, very quickly, or their season's going to be an absolute disaster.
Yeah, they need to get it together. Next up was Bristol City 1, Barnsley 0.
So you've gone about chances. I've never seen a side in the league create chances like Barnsley do, and the reason why they're in the bottom 3 is because they don't score enough goals. And if they scored half of their chances, if they scored a tenth of their chances, they'd probably have another 15, 16 points than what they have on the board now, and that would put them up to nearly 40 points. It would put them up to Blackburn Rovers territory, you know what I mean? Instead, the second bottom, you know what I mean? They're a point behind Stoke City, you know what I mean? And you know what I mean? But they let 51 goals in, you know what I mean? They've scored 35. It's a lot of goals, you know what I mean? They've scored 7 more goals than Middlesbrough side. You know what I mean? They've scored. It's just, you know what I mean? They've scored 6 more goals than Derby.
Crazy, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? They've scored 4 less than Cardiff. Yeah, it's just. So the scoring, you know what I mean? The scoring goals are creating chances usually, but you know what I mean? Letting goals in, you know what I mean, is a problem. But I thought it was quite an entertaining game. I thought Bristol City had quite a few chances as well, some good chances. But I thought the finish, Fenner Lassen was excellent. You know what I mean? The ball came over. A lot of the chances during the game side were snatched at and rushed, and he let the ball came over. He watched it onto his foot, and he just calmly side-foot volleyed it across the goalkeeper, passed it in the net, and the goalkeeper didn't have a chance. And you know what I mean? It was really nice to see that kind of finish. But in the 87th minute, it was just a winning goal, and you're never really gonna recover from that. But that was a goal that Bristol City really needed as well, because you know what I mean, they're hit and miss at times, and you know what I mean, that you know they're underachieving with the amount of money that they're spending. But you know what I mean, they got knocked out of the FA Cup through the week at Shrewsbury, so that was a game for them, but probably must-win game.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Jay De Silva was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
I thought Connor Chaplin was superb again for Barnsley.
Leads the line really well. Signed a new contract. It wouldn't surprise me if he signed a new contract with the thought process of selling him on, because you know what I mean, we're going to get more money for him if we've tied him down to a long-term contract. Yeah,
I agree with that, mate. 100%. Next up was Derby 1, Hull City 0.
Same thing against that. It's a similar things. I thought Derby were really good. You know what I mean? They've picked up since Wayne Rooney's come in.
Haven't lost.
No, I'm really impressed with Knight. I think Knight's he's done really well. He's playing out out wide. Him and Lawrence keep switching. He's playing a little bit more on the right hand side, but you know what I mean. He's causing problems. He's setting things up. You know, when you've got Wayne Rooney and Tom Huddleston in midfield, we mentioned it last week, and the steady the ship, the experience that they bring to your side is huge. You know what I mean? Lawrence is a big player for them. Waghorn leads the line really well. They've got some good players, Si. It's just getting that consistency. You know, they've had such a bad start of the season, but to still be in 15th place, you're 8 points away from the playoffs. You know what I mean? It's going to be a big ask for them to turn things around. But who knows? You know, I think be interesting how Hull a little bit hit and miss at the minute. They're off the boil, but. Is that Jared Bowen? Is he leaving? Is he staying? You know what I mean? It's an uncertainty of players' side that, you know, are they staying? Are they not? Are they leaving? You know, it's such a difficult one, because you know, these players want the future, or want the window to close so they can just concentrate on the football and things, because it can be a bad thing as well as a good thing for players and clubs.
Yeah, I think Jared Bowen's been distracted. I do. I think it's clear that he's not. I don't want to say he's not focused. I just think it's natural to be a bit distracted.
Too much pressure on him now, Si. I think that it's expectation as well, and you know, I do feel pretty sorry for him, to be fair. But you know what I mean, he's probably got to handle it. You know what I mean, because if he is staying, there's going to be a little bit more pressure on him, because you know what I mean, he's probably going to be expected to score another 10 plus goals for the rest of the season. But you know what I mean, as you said earlier, I'd be surprised if he's still there come the end of the window.
Yeah, I think so. Next up, Huddersfield versus Brentford.
I thought this was a decent game, Si, for a 0-0 draw. I thought first half, I thought Brentford were excellent. Some of the chances they created in the first half. Ollie Watkins had a couple of block shots, but Huddersfield impressed me, Si, with their spending. They brought in Richard Steeman from Wolves. They brought in Andy King from. It was Leicester City player, wasn't he? But I think he's been at Rangers. So, you know what I mean? They've obviously recruited really well. So I think the manager's realised that he can get some good players. He's got a spare bit of money. Obviously, they came down from the Premier League, but I thought Brentford were excellent first half. I thought they should have gone in ahead, but obviously couldn't get that breakthrough. A few really good blocks, a few decent saves by the goalkeeper. But then second half, Huddersfield had the best opportunity, and I think they should have gone ahead. It was it was Grant who just fired over from about 6 or 7 yards out from across from the right hand side, and it was probably something in the game that Huddersfield needed, because they needed those 3 points. It was a massive 3 points, but at the same time that Brentford needed some points to close the gap on Leeds, because at the time, you know what I mean, it would have put them another 2 points clear of closer to Leeds United, because obviously nobody knew down the road what was happening until the final whistles all went, you know. So it was you know what I mean. But I think overall, I think probably a good point for both sides, because Huddersfield need the points for the reasons down the bottom, and Brentford are pushing to try and close the gap on the top 2.
Yeah, Huddersfield's signings slotted in nicely.
Superb.
Brentford's missed opportunity, but probably take a point, really.
No, I think you would have before the game, Si. I think you would have.
But yeah, Brentford seem to be ramping themselves up. I still think Brentford will spend money before the end of the month.
So do I, and I think they'll spend a lot of it as well. Like I think they might dip into the foreign transfer market.
Like
I think that might be a
big signing.
Yeah, but to be fair, Si, what's the gap? The gap's what, 4 points? You know what I mean? It's very well. Si, we were talking about 12, 13 points not so long ago. So this is an opportunity and a window which could be closed by next weekend.
Indeed. Huddersfield. So what's next? Sorry. I had Millwall on my list twice. Next up was Preston Charlton. 2-1 to Preston.
Charlton started the game really well. Side went 1-0 ahead through Green against his old club. Well, sort of he was on loan at Preston start of the season. He went back, and I love the lad's celebration. Do you know what I mean? That you go on about lads who don't celebrate against your old club. Well, he certainly celebrated. He celebrated like he'd never going to score a goal again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was absolutely fantastic. But we've been talking about Preston side, about they're bottling it. You know what I mean? And another sloppy start. They go 1-0 down. I bet the fans are thinking, oh, here we go, deja vu. We're on a really bad run, and somehow they got a goal just before half time, on the half hour, and they turned it around. They turned it around. They got a good start in the second half, and I'm really pleased for Preston, sorry, because you know what I mean. They had too much of a good start of the season, and I'm happy to be made look stupid for them to get in the playoffs, because you know what I mean. They've been one of the standout teams so far this season. If they fell down and finished mid-table, they still make me look stupid anyway. So I'd be quite happy for them to go back on that run, because they're always going to have a bad run. But it's about beating teams in and around them. You know what I mean. There's some of the bigger sides in that league who none of us can compete with. You know what I mean. The West Broms, the squad they've got. You know what I mean. That Leeds United. You know what I mean. When they run song and the football that they play. You know what I mean. But Preston have probably overachieved, but you know what I mean, there's still an opportunity for them to get in the playoffs, but they need to start kicking back on, and hopefully that's the catalyst on Saturday of winning the game. I know Lee Boyer was extremely frustrated about the way that they give goals away from set pieces and things, but we go back to our zonal marking side. Mm-hmm. He's frustrated about his sides letting goals in on set pieces. He does the tactics for set pieces. He picks who marks up on set pieces. So who's his frustrations about? His team or himself? Yeah,
if they're not doing what he's telling them to, then it's their fault. If they're doing what he's saying and it's not working, it's on him, isn't it?
If your tactics are drummed into you every single day for 4 or 5 days leading up to that game, then you've got a better chance to win the game. I know games come thick and fast, and sometimes you haven't got that long to work on a certain game. But you know what I mean. We've had a week this week to work on this, so you know what I mean. It's just it's criminal, really.
Indeed. I will say Josh Harrop, 3 goals in 3 games.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Ex-Man United winger, and very, very, very talented boy. And you know, like Preston now, they gave Scott Sinclair his first start. So you got Scott Sinclair on one wing and Harrop on the other wing, looking tidy.
Yeah. I think the only way is up for them. So I think they probably did go a little bit stale. So you know what I mean. Alex Neil looked at the squad and how we can improve them and freshen them up a little bit. And I think Scott Sinclair will do that, because Barkhausen as well. He's had a really good season. You know, so you know what I mean. And Maguire up front leads the line really well. And obviously Dave Nugent. You know what I mean. He knows the league inside out. So they've still got a good squad from the starting and on the bench. So you know what I mean. I think they could turn it around if they really wanted to.
Yeah, I think so. Next up, and to finish, I believe, is Swansea versus Wigan.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one more after this. Sorry.
I wasn't surprised really that Wigan went ahead. Wigan seemed to start games really well, but then they just seemed to die off, and they always let goals in and let some silly goals in. And I thought Burns' finish was absolutely excellent. You know what I mean? Cutting from a right back to come in, that composed, take a touch, and you know what I mean? It was an excellent goal. Really, really composed, and you know what I mean? Obviously, with me blue hat on, you know what I mean? It was obviously disappointing to see Swansea win, but it's always nice to see a lad come and score his first professional goal. Brewster came on loan for Liverpool. Obviously played against Cardiff last weekend, but got his first goal this weekend, and tidy finish. You know what I mean? It was nice to see him celebrate and get off the mark. And EU scores a really, really tidy backheel finish to win the game. But I think Swansea are one of those sides that they grind you down, they keep the ball, they grind you down, they get on the back of you. You know what I mean? They've got players that can hurt you, and they're in such a dangerous position for me in the playoff side, because I looked at Swansea last week, that they played a little bit more long ball. This week, that the intricate passing, they got around the back a little bit. You know what I mean? So they mix the game up really well, and you know what I mean, which makes them, for me, more dangerous than what I give them credit for. That the manager's a little bit more tactical aware than I probably thought he was. And you know what I mean? If you're playing Swansea over two legs, you don't really know what you're going to come up against, because he could really, really, really change the game plan on its head and just send you into a frenzy and not knowing what's happening, because you know they're in a dangerous position. That you know what I mean, they're not too far away from Leeds, to be fair. If Leeds do falter, and you know what I mean, they're 3 points away from Fulham in third. You know what I mean, they're in sixth place. You know what I mean, that probably the issue they've got is they do let a lot of goals in. It's quite regular against, and they don't really score that many goals. You know what I mean, compared to other sides in the top six. You know what I mean, Brentford have scored 10 more goals than them. Millwall have scored more goals than them. Bristol City have scored more goals than them. Preston have scored more goals than them, and they're below. You know, Cardiff have scored more goals than them, and they're 6 places behind. So scoring goals has been a problem. Hence why they bring in the lad on loan from Liverpool, Brewster. So you know what I mean, I think they deserve to win. I'm really, really, really worried for Wigan. I say it every single show that I can't honestly see them getting out of it. They just look lack. It's like they go ahead and then they just think, I don't know, rabbit in a headlight. So they know they're going to lose still. They just know they're going to lose, and all of a sudden the first goal's in. They know the second and third and maybe fourth some weeks are coming. So they just take it on the chin, and then they look forward to the next one. But the same thing happens again week in, week out.
Yeah, it does look a bit desperate, doesn't it, with Wigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you with Swansea. They for years and years and years, they were so predictable. And I think they do look like they've got that variety to break down teams in different ways. And I think that's a really important aspect, not just for the Championship, but coming into like the business end of the football season, where you've just got to win at all costs.
Yeah,
it's what a trait to have.
Yeah,
to be able to mix it up like that.
It's a skill in itself, Si. So you know what I mean. It's that winning mentality. You know that Jones was talking about it at Luton. That you know what I mean. They come through the leagues. They've got that winning mentality. They don't take losing very, very well. And you know what I mean. It's the best feeling in the world to win a game of football, and finding a way to win is so important. And at the minute, Swansea are doing it, and you know what I mean. It's down to the blue side of Wales to try and play catch up a little bit and try and upset the apple cart a little bit.
Just sort themselves out is what they need to do. And then finally, to finish off, we've got Forest 3, Luton 1, with Joe Lolly returning to form. Yeah,
well, Si, I hope he listens to this, because we've raved about him for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and obviously then didn't play for a few weeks, but I'm so pleased that he got himself a couple of goals. Luton, similar to what I've just said about Wigan and Barnsley, that it's like they're happy to play a part of a game, but not really that bothered if they lose. You know what I mean? That they did it at Millwall a few weeks ago on the Sunday game, because I watched it. They were 1-0 ahead at half time, and then all of a sudden they pressed the self-destruct button, and all of a sudden you find yourself 3-1 down, and you know what I mean? You're just doomed for relegation. And you know what I mean? Away from home, they've let a lot of goals in. You know what I mean? Brentford, they got shot for 6 a few weeks ago, and it's just been never ending. They've lost the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. Then they drew with Fulham, and then they lost the 3 previous towards that. So that's not even relegation form. That's really worrying, and I do fear for them in a huge way, because you go on Nottingham Forest side, you take the lead. You know what I mean? They're not the kind of club who can then go gung ho again and keep attacking. You know what I mean? You're going to have to sometimes defend in numbers, and they don't seem to do that because they've got that winning mentality, and that winning mentality sometimes can be a downfall. And I think for Luton Town, it's been their downfall this season. And pleased for Joe Lolly, got himself 2 goals. I believe he would have got his hat-trick if he hadn't been brought off just before the penalty, which Lewis Grabbin scored, and I bet he was kicking himself because chances of getting a hat-trick are few and far between. But Forest deserved to win over all of the 90. They created loads of chances. I think that their disappointment is that they went 1-0 down. But I think sometimes, for Nottingham Forest, I think sometimes you need a kick in the backside, and the goal from Luton gave them that kick up the backside and made them put a shift in, because they've been hit and miss, especially over the last month or so. And you know what I mean, their league table, they're same again. They're 1 point behind Fulham, the 5 points behind Leeds side, so they're still in with a shout as well. You know what I mean, the league's so tight, and you know what I mean, Lewis Grabbin, you know what I mean, they need to get him up into form and scoring regular goals. And if Joe Lolly's starting to come back into form, and Sammy Amiobi came on as sub, I thought did really well. I thought Adama did really well, and thought, you know, they're dangerous going forward, but it's just can they get that consistency back?
Yeah, I mean, all these clubs, they just have to get their strikers scoring, don't they? Just get it, no matter how. Just get them scoring. Try and get the run going, ready for the for the running, basically.
Yeah.
Okay then. So let's move on. We'll do our 2 for 2. We'll start with the positives this week, mate. We'll start with the ups.
I'm going to start with Jude Bellingham, because I just week in, week out, I watched him a couple of times live this season, and he just fills me full of just joy watching him play. 16-year-old boy, absolutely no fear whatsoever. Got himself another goal. He could have had another one, but for a great save. But for me, he's just a joy to watch, and nothing phases him. You know, he's obviously been linked with a very good move on paper, but for me, you know what I mean, hopefully his dad, parents, agents, advisors, whoever's telling him to stay put, make the right decision for your football career, and just enjoy playing football week in, week out, because football is what improves you. You know what I mean? Money's always going to be there for him, because he's earning money now, so it's money's always going to be there, always, and he's going to earn a lot of it as well. So but he needs to play football. Yeah,
spot on. I've got for my first one, Lewis Holtby for Blackburn, 2 goals, ran the game. What a bloody signing for a free!
Yeah,
just
ridiculous,
superb,
ridiculous. Well, my second one matches yours, so I've gone for Adam Armstrong for his just constant threat and his 2 assists. His 2 assists for Holtby, because normally Armstrong scores quite regularly. He scored a couple last week. He scored the week before, but you know what I mean. Sometimes you don't need goals to have a good performance. So his 2 assists were out of this world. So you know what I mean. He's got my second up.
And what makes me angry is why weren't Cardiff looking at Lewis Holtby on a free?
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
There we go. Speaking of Cardiff, did I ask you your first up? Your second up?
Yeah, I've got Adam Armstrong.
Yeah, Adam Armstrong. Sorry. My second up is Smithies from Cardiff. I thought he was unbelievable.
Yeah, I was going to go for him.
The pressure's on him because he's ousted Etheridge, who has been superb for Cardiff over the last couple of years. And Smithies has come in under pressure, put in a couple of good performances, and then against Birmingham, I thought he was outstanding. Made a couple of world-class saves and kept them in the game.
Great shout.
Without them, they would have lost.
Great shout.
Who you got for your first down, mate?
My first down, I've gone for Gary Gardner for his 2-footed tackle on Gavin White for Birmingham City. I thought it was absolutely disgusting. You know what I mean? And thankfully and luckily enough for Gavin that he wasn't badly injured or hurt, because it was it wasn't even a tackle side what needed to happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's 1-1. If you're getting beat 5-0, you're frustrated and you're doing that out of anger. I can probably accept it sometimes. You know what I mean? And to not get a red card, you know what I mean? I listened to Neil Harris's interview. I'm not for getting players sent off, but I'm for getting players sent off. If someone's going to tackle like that, he deserves to get sent off. So, you know what I mean? It's a ridiculous tackle. 2 feet off the floor, career-ending tackle. And if that happens to Gary Gardner, he'd be fuming as well.
Yeah, and funny enough, my first down is the ref for sending off the guy in the Sheffield Wednesday game. Because it completely took the legs away from Sheffield Wednesday, even if you could say it didn't change the game. And also the other ref for not sending off Gardner. I thought it was a ridiculous decision. So those two refs get it.
I just think it just makes a mockery, doesn't it, of decisions if you're not going to be consistent with it. So, you know what I mean? If that's VAR, I know we go on about we don't like it, but if that's VAR, it gets a red card. It's just, you know what I mean? One gets overturned, one gets a red card. So it's just, yeah.
Yes, it's frustrating because, one is just nothing, and then one is like a potential career ender, which didn't even get a booking, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't think it did.
Yeah, so annoying. Sorry, mate. I was just checking something. You got for your second one, mate?
My second down, I've gone for Gary Monk and his merry men of boys who just did not turn up on Saturday afternoon whatsoever. You know what I mean? You can go on about the red card and on about the referee, and the own goal, but take those two things out of it and take a goal out of it, you still get beat 3-0 at home against a side who were 7 or 8 places below you. You know, you just beaten Leeds last week. That was fully expected them to put in a performance at home at Hillsborough, but men against boys, and that can't happen if they want to be progressive this season.
Yeah, they were poor. I've gone for Calvin Phillips of Leeds, absolute horror tackle, and he lost his head. His head. So I was not having those tackles today at all, and he was lucky that he didn't cause any real damage. It was petulant.
It's just it's kid stuff. It's. I'm getting beat. I'll do what I want, but now it's backfired because you missed the next 3 games. So
yeah,
crack on with your watching the next 3 games from the stand.
Indeed,
young man.
So just before we get to the main event, the fake Geordie lingo bingo single, we'll go for some questions. You can send questions for Andy every week to facebook.com/AceCastNation or Twitter @AceCast_Nation. Use the hashtag AceNationArmy and email acenetworkcontact@gmail.com. Okay. So you'd be happy to know that Peaches has sent you some word association, slightly different again this week. Mixing it up again.
Mixing me. Oh, trying to catch me out, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Trying to stitch you up. Either that, one or the other.
I don't mind.
So Gaz Cummins asks, I asked before Christmas, so now we're after the Christmas period. Who's going up and down in the championship? Top 2, 4, and the 4 in the playoffs, plus 3 down, and who's getting relegated from the Premier League?
Right, we'll go. So top 2 for me. In that I can't see past West Brom. I think they've been the most consistent. I think Bilic has got his tactics spot on. I'm going on current form, and I'm going to go with Fulham because I just think Fulham have got so much more to give. And I said they would get promoted originally. So, you know, I'm going to go against the grain of Leeds United. I'm going to go for Fulham and West Brom to go up, get relegated. I'm going for the 3 over there now. So Barnsley, Wigan and Luton. I can't see past the 3 of them. I think everyone else around them has potentially got enough to see that off. I think the league title in the Premier League's over. I think it might as well be handed over yesterday in that game. And Bournemouth for me, they look doomed. I feel really sorry for Eddie Howe. Yeah, he looks a dead man walking, and I hope he doesn't do anything stupid and resign because I don't think he'll get another job after his last attempt at Burnley, apart from his Bournemouth connections. I think Norwich are down for me. and then one other, and I just don't think it'll be Villa. So I'm going to go for Brighton, and I don't know why. Because I think Nigel Pearson has turned Watford around, and I think West Ham will get enough points through David Moyes. So I'll go for Brighton, even though there's a bit of a gap.
Yeah, I'd agree with pretty much all that, except I would have Brentford in the top two with West Brom. And
yeah, I'd like to see Brentford.
And I would have West Ham to go down instead of the third team you said, which was Brighton.
Brighton. I'd like to see West Ham go down, but I just think they've got too much. I think I'd love to see one of our teams at the stadium, at the London Stadium in the Championship. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
So,
see, and Gaz, who just asked that question, is a West Ham fan as well. So you just said you want him. We both just said, we want him to go down. Sorry,
West
Gaz.
Ham down then, yeah.
Sorry, mate.
I look forward to Twitter.
Yeah. Johnny Wish for Si and Andy in brackets. Would you rather Swansea get promoted or Liverpool win the Premier League? Oh, Jesus.
No brainer for me.
Yeah, no brainer. I'd rather Swansea get promoted.
Would you really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I can't hack it, mate.
I don't think I would. I think now it's game over, so I couldn't.
It's all over.
I couldn't handle both.
Oh God, no.
Do you know what I mean? That'd be the end of football, isn't it? Football's got to be finished if that happens. That happens twice.
Take a ball and go home.
I'm taking my jumper as well. Take my goalpost home. I'm not going back.
No, and it's nothing. I just find them a bit preachy and a bit.
I think what I've really enjoyed about this show site is it's probably taken my love away from the Premier League and my focus, because I used to look forward to the Sunday games. I used to look forward to the Saturday night games, and now I'm not really that bothered. I'm looking at the results from the Championship. I'm looking at something else. So I'm. Do you know what I mean? It's probably done me a real good favour, because I'm now a lot passionate. I'm looking at the teams and who scored in the Championships, and instead of being bothered about a league which has just got its problems and issues, and
it's got its priorities in the wrong place.
Yeah.
So Luke Davis sends a question. Cheers, Luke, because it's the first time he sent a question in. He's actually sent a few questions in. He says, so I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do them one by one, because he's setting in like 4 or 5 questions, all related to the same thing.
Okay.
So first one is, why are Cardiff so bad at the start of the game or just after half time?
I think we all agree that the starting games really, really badly. It's got to be tactics. It's got to be the communications before the game and the tactics of going into the game, instead of being on the front foot and getting teams turned for the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, and playing on the front foot and playing in the opposition half. It's about keeping shape and inviting pressure on and soaking it up. And at the minute, they're not soaking it up, they're giving goals away. But you know what I mean? For me, the best form of defence is attack. And the way that Cardiff have got players going forward, you know what I mean? You might as well go at teams, because if you're going to let a goal in anyway, Si, you might as well let a goal in, go and try and win the game, than letting a goal in trying to defend. So
yeah.
Because we can't defend at the minute. And because we can't defend, we're letting goals in and we're looking sloppy. Go and attack, give us something to hang on to, and see where we go from there.
Fair enough. He also said, is Harris the man we need, or is he a yes man?
I think he's too similar to what we've had. I think still the jury's still out, because I wouldn't say he's been relatively successful, but I wouldn't say he's been he's had a nightmare. You know what I mean? He's probably been middle of the road. We've drew a lot of games. If we can turn some of those draws into wins, we'll hit the playoffs quite comfortably, I do believe. But no team's got the divine right to do that. You know what I mean? You've got to do that yourselves within the club, within the tactics, within the players' staff. So you know what I mean? For me, it's too similar. I would have liked to seen a different focus and a different way. And I think I'd have taken the position we were in with a different manager, and a different focus and a different style of play. But because we went down a similar route, I think we're underachieving, and that's just my thoughts. So
yeah, because the thing is, because we're playing the same way, same tactics, there's no excuse for like a settling in period or anything like that, where you're changing everything, like what Woodgate did with Borough, where he's changed the tactics, the academy, the formation, changing everything about the team, bringing in younger players, changing everything. So you give him time to, help the players adapt to this new system and new everything. Whereas Harris is just basically a younger Warnock in terms of his tactics and everything.
Yeah.
So there's no room for, or give him time or give him time to settle in is what I mean. I don't mean give him time.
Yeah.
Luke says that it's a no from him. He just thinks he's another Russell Slade, which is, I think, is maybe a little bit harsh, but I can see what he's saying as well.
Yeah, totally. The thing is, I say everyone's got their own opinion, which is great about football. But everyone also, it seems as though everyone also has got a similar opinion, and you know what I mean. They would have liked the club to go down a different route, and unfortunately they didn't. And hopefully it won't come back to bite them on the backside a little bit.
No, you're right. You're right. Yes. How are we shipping so many goals? We shouldn't be with the defenders that we got in the club.
Well, this is what I don't understand. That's one thing I don't get. I don't understand how we are shipping that many goals when we've got the likes of the players that we've got. You know what I mean? We've got I named 4 centre halves earlier: Nelson, Flint, Sol Bamba, Steve Morrison, Joe Bennett, Peltier, 2 excellent goalkeepers. Yeah, defensive midfielders: Bakuna, Joe Ross. It's just it beggars belief. You know, I don't know. The answer to that, I don't know. I've just named players there who should be able to protect and stop all this happening. And unfortunately, it's not happening. But it needs to happen in order for us to push forward, because we're letting far too many goals in.
Indeed. He says, would you let him settle the ship right off this season and then sack him at the end of the season? Oof.
Oh, vicious.
Cutting.
Yeah. What would I do?
Go on.
I think for me, if we don't get in the playoffs, he's going to struggle to keep his job, because it's a high-powered decision that they made from above. He must have had targets to hit like anybody does in a job. You know what I mean? So if he underachieves not hitting that target, then you live by the sword. You die by the sword, and I do believe that he should be hitting the playoffs with that squad of players. So if he doesn't, then I don't see how we can keep his job.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, let's look at it realistically. There's only 2 or 3 clubs in the Championship who are bigger clubs than Cardiff City.
Yeah.
So anything other than playoffs is not acceptable, not a success. He didn't come in and we were like 20 points off the playoffs and struggle. We were there or thereabouts. So all he had to do was string some wins together to get us there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he came in like when Warnock came in and we were, in the bottom 3 or round about the bottom, and he had this mammoth task of trying to get us to the playoffs. And he also says transfers in and where.
Difficult one, because I'm just, we're letting goals in, but I don't think, I think I'd like to see a smaller centre forward to play alongside a Gratzel, for example. I would love to see that. And I'd also like to see somebody alongside Lee Tomlin for the creativity side. So take the pressure off him a little bit, so he can excel alongside someone else, not either or one or the other. It's both of them together. And if Cardiff can go forward and try and attack games, win games, I think it'll take the pressure off the goalkeeper, the back four, the defensive midfield, because they'll have the ball in the opposition half, and I think it'll give the Cardiff fans a better thing to watch week in, week out, because at the minute they're watching the same old style of play that what they did in the old manager, and unfortunately, they're not happy about it, obviously, for obvious reasons, and those kind of 2 players would, so like a Robert Earnshaw, Ernie played off a big man and scored goal after goal after goal because he was in and around the box. They're the kind of player, Francis Jeffers, those kind of players is a player what Cardiff City are missing at the minute. Someone who can put it in the net from nowhere.
From 2 yards.
Yeah.
Hanging around the box.
Yeah.
A goal collector, you might say.
Yeah.
There you go. Time to get your over 40s boots back on.
Yeah, I know. Didn't score at the weekend though. His legs was a bit tired. Didn't help.
Need a winter break.
Yeah, I need a winter break. I doesn't help. I had a couple of pints on Friday, so that was probably the reason. Just don't tell the manager. Oof.
So to finish off, we'll have Peach's word association. However, this week she says you got to say the first word which comes to mind when you hear these names.
I don't like your smile. I don't like your smile.
It's because I can see.
Remember, I can see you. I can see you though. Remember that.
Yeah. Janino.
Oh, magician.
Gaza.
Legend.
Maradona.
Oh, handball.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Header.
Header.
I don't know why I said that.
Paul Merson.
Ooh, Magic Man.
Danny Mills.
Ooh.
Keep it clean.
Ooh. Prick.
Dave Jones.
Ooh, tosser.
And the GOAT.
Oh. World's best.
Leo Fortune West.
Legend. Hero. Neighbour.
Come on, who's the GOAT? Who's the GOAT?
Who's the ghost? Depends who yeah. Which one are we talking about? Are we talking about Leo? Or are we talking about Sean Gota? Who are we talking about?
Got to make up your own mind. It's first thing that comes to mind, isn't it?
Goat. I'm going Messi. So there we go. So I'm going Messi.
There we go. So, guys, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure as always.
You're not going to miss it again, sir.
Nah. Before we go, let's have the best podcast segment ever.
Fact.
Fake Geordie bingo lingo.
Fact.
Where Andy will teach me about his northern culture.
Fact. I've gone down a bit of heritage, bit of working, normal life. So, and I only found this out on Saturday, so it was quite interesting that Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, Canary Wharf, the New Trade Centre in New York, were all part built in Middlesbrough with all the steel. So I was gobsmacked. I just couldn't believe. I couldn't believe. Yeah, well, I know. I couldn't believe. But you know what I mean. So all those interesting and unbelievable historic landmarks have all been part built in
the borough.
Built in the Middlesbrough area, in the borough, up the borough.
Excellent, guys. Thank you for the questions.
Yeah,
thank you for everything. Appreciate it massively. Check out the interview which I did with the author Harry Harris. It's really interesting. Myself and Andy will be back next week with 2 shows. We'll have an Andy Campbell Championship show as well as an Andy Campbell Championship Show Extra. You can catch all the shows on youtube.com/ACEpodcastNation and audio at Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and all those great podcasting apps. Andy's on Twitter at AndyCampbell32. I'm at ACEcast_Nation, which I couldn't remember.
There you are.
Andy, cheers for joining me, mate. Always a pleasure. And guys, we'll see you in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wicked.